of blinky lights. Is it an accident? Somebody just broken down on the side of the road. It's rush hour in KC. Yeah, it looks like an accident. Well, that sucks. Well, I'm going to get coffee at Emily's Downbeat Coffee House. There's my workplace. Hope to see the inside of that pretty soon. Actually, I work mostly outside, so I hope to see the inside, but mostly the outside. Makes sense. I don't know. Haven't seen any Pokemons today. Wonder where they are. Yep. Kansas City is a pretty decent Midwest city. The rush hours here aren't super bad. I think St. Louis has worse rush hours. St. Louis is an older city, more compact, more dense. I think in population, Kansas City is more spread out, so the metro area has more population here than in St. Louis. I could be wrong on that. You know, when you make a bold statement like that, it tends to be bold because then people will like go on and on and on about how you're wrong and how this and that and the other thing. And let me preface or make a postscript by saying I don't care. Well, if you're going to put a fact out there, you better be right. I'm like, does it really matter? Does it really matter? I have to learn in my life to give up the luxury of being right. I don't necessarily care about being right. It's not important. I'm still breathing. Life goes on. There are other facts in this world that are more important. Facts that inform your actions which translate into the good or the bad that you're going to put into this world. I don't think whether St. Louis has more people than Kansas City or Kansas City has more people than St. Louis is one of those important facts. Maybe to statisticians. I don't know. I'm arguing with myself. Isn't that crazy? But I know one fact for sure. Emily Downbeat Coffee make great cup of joe. I highly recommend it. I'm going to get my namesake drink, the Esteban. The Esteban came about because she has a drink called the Cuban, which is a Cuban coffee. And when I had it, at first I kind of doubted this is an authentic Cuban coffee. And then I went to go visit my great aunt in Florida, Miami, and she lives in an area a lot of Hispanics live in the area. I would say Cubans, but all the Cubans have moved out, and now there's a lot of Central Americans who live there. Oops, I see you. But we went to go have. I wanted to try a Cuban coffee, so I went into a place. She brought us to the exact right place where we could bring our dogs. It was an outdoor cafeteria. Really good food, really loved it. And then they had a little coffee shop as part of it, and I went in there, and there was this really nice guy who helped me out. It was like one of those cultural bridging moments, bridging opportunities where he was like, he could speak English because I don't speak any Spanish, and he could see that I was very curious. And so he came up to me and he said, "Here, I see you're curious and confused. Let me help you." And he, very nice, very friendly, very good gateway into the community, and you know, showed me, and he's very happy, very proud to show me. And so I got my Cuban coffee. Short story long, got my Cuban coffee. And I'll be damned if I drank that thing and I was like, this is exactly like the coffee that Emily serves. So, short story even longer, I like a quad Americano. It's espresso. An Americano is espresso, 2 shots of espresso usually with lots of hot water. And a quad is 4 shots. Well, I asked Emily, I said, I like your Cuban, but can I have a quad Cuban? And she's like, quad Cuban? Like 4 shots of espresso? And I'm like, yeah, because she makes it with 2 shots of espresso. And she's like, yeah, we ought to call this drink something like, you know, like the Stevo. And I said, no, the Esteban. And we laughed, so it's been called the Esteban ever since. Anyway, we're here. We're here. We're queer. Get used to it. And, you know, of course, I always have to finish off with hee hee. And you know what? The first thing I'm going to do when I walk in there, I'm going to say to Emily, I'm going to say, hey, how you doing?
Oh, speaking of.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. Whoa. It's Jimmy and Stella. Huh.
What do you think of that, hey, how you doing shtick?
How you doing?
Does that annoy you?
No.
No? You think it's like
I
really
lived in
dumb?
New York, so.
You lived in New York? Is it pretty authentic?
No.
No, I didn't think it was. I've been told it's Joisey, actually.
Yeah.
I've talked with people from New York, and I've heard their accents. No, it's not authentic.
No. And now everyone in Manhattan sounds like us, so.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody sounds like that anymore. Hey! Quit licking my
Oops. Jimmy.
Man.
Bad dog. Bad dog.
So naughty. You're naughty.
Lick the sign.
I've never seen a dog do that, you dummy head.
What'd he do?
He licked the chalk off the sign.
Yeah,
He's
go
going
ahead.
after it again. So now it still says iced.
He does.
Oh, but it says beat, and the beat is broken. Jimmy, you broke the beat.
You
broke the
silly
beat.
I'll have
dog.
to wait for it to dry so we can go over it.
Yeah,
That's not a tasty.
it's just really funny. I've never seen a dog go after.
That's not a
Hey,
tasty
hey,
thing.
get away from that.
That's not tasty to lick.
You know,
I know. Here, put it down by the door.
I was just at the pet store getting dog food, complaining that he eats everything.
There you go. He's eating my chalkboard.
And we're worried about his weight, but he's a chow hound. He'll eat everything.
He probably eats all her food and the cat food.
He does.
That's what my dog
And
does.
she doesn't eat anything. So you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Miss Skinny versus...
Well, she's got
He can't even jump, he's
Anxiety.
in so big.
King Tubby. There
King
he is.
Tubby.
I can only say that because my dog is.
We
like
have
that.
2 dogs with eating disorders.
Yeah.
The opposite.
Yeah. Opposite.
They're like complimenting each other.
Yeah. You need to take the weight off the one and put it on the other one somehow.
So I need to do this. My saying, hey, how you doing, doesn't make you want to end your friendship with me.
No.
How often would I have to say that to make you want to?
I don't know, but let's not try.
Let's not experiment with that.
Yeah, let's not try that.
One of my internet friends, for some reason, does this thing where they'll say, "Hey, what up, my dudes?"
What up, my dudes? That's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, Mike knows that.
Well, anything that's, well, you know, of course, I'm after the Esteban.
Yeah.
Talking about repetition and,
Yeah, I got in training here, so.
oh, the trainee.
So
Oh.
Steve likes to get Cubans,
Okay.
Cuban lattes, right?
I was just telling the story on the way into my invisible friends.
Oh, okay.
The audience I don't have.
This will be.
Your invisible
This
friends.
is the wrap.
Yeah, I have a little show on YouTube.
I'll wrap this up for myself for when I watch it later. I'll be like, So he likes to get the Cuban latte, right?
Okay.
But he likes to get it with 4 shots.
So that's plus.
Right. So you tax. So it's
And what is the name of that?
50 cents extra shots. So 2 extra shots.
So that's plus 250
No.
cents.
No. Extra shots.
Okay.
50 cents. So for each extra shot, it's 50 cents. So 2 extra shots. How much extra is that?
$1.
There you go. So add $1 onto this, and then
What size?
That's always, I think, large.
16
That's
ounce.
16. And what is that called, by the way?
Yeah, and we call it an Esteban because that's the Spanish version of the name Steve, and that's the
Oh,
name.
really?
Yeah.
Because you wanted to call it the Stevo.
Yeah, right. We're
You
calling it
said,
the
you said
Stevo.
we got to come up with a name for your drink.
Yeah.
And I said, how about the Stevo? And I said, no, the Esteban we liked.
Yeah, and so I've had somebody else finally ordered one of those one time, and I was like, "Oh, the Esteban."
Oh,
and then
you
they're
mean
like,
they didn't ask for it by name?
No,
I'm
they
so
didn't.
disappointed.
But I was like, trying to get it to
Esteban.
catch on,
I am traveling up Southwest Boulevard, which at one time was the route of the Jefferson Highway, southwest out of Kansas City and into Kansas through Rosedale. And I have this hypothesis, whatever, that this big intersection up here, which is now Broadway and Southwest Boulevard, passing through the west side here now. But this big intersection up here is where the crossroads actually gets its name. And it's always been called the Crossroads for as long as anybody can remember. I don't know, the stories are kind of fuzzy as to why it is. But I guess the story that I heard was that local business leaders called it the Crossroads because it was where a lot of major highways crossed through. This isn't the intersection here. This is the replacement for the intersection, actually. This is I-35 up above us. And this is Southwest Boulevard, which runs diagonally through the city, northeast to southwest, which is why I guess it gets its name. But before all of this existed, I mean, this was a major intersection at one time, too. They had to build an overpass, and then eventually became part of interstate highway. But before all this got built up, when automobiles were first starting and people decided that they needed good roads for cars to travel on, this intersection right here was a major crossing. And this would be the National Old Trails Road, and this would be Jefferson Highway. Which is interesting because Jefferson Highway generally runs north and south, and National Old Trails Road runs east and west. But at this intersection, National Old Trails Road goes north-south, and Jefferson Highway runs northeast, southwest. So it's just a theory, just a thought. I don't know. Fodder for discussion, fodder for ideas. It's not a true statement of fact. It's just an idea, amusing. Not amusing, but amusing. But this whole arts district around here calls itself the Crossroads now. And supposedly it was named after what the local business leaders in this area called it. And in the 70s and 80s, this area was pretty much forgotten. It was an industrial, kind of a warehouse area, lots of empty buildings. Back then, you could have gotten real estate for next to nothing. There were a lot of homeless people who lived down here, and it was an area that people kind of crossed through, but not really anything to attract people to stay here. And before all that, I believe it was an area where you could go if you wanted to go get a car in Kansas City. This was the main area, it had a lot of car lots in. Ooh, don't collide with each other. A lot of new car dealers. As a matter of fact, where this new hotel is going used to be a DeSoto car dealership. So we're talking 40s, 50s. By the 60s, I think a lot of the car dealers moved out to the suburbs, and what was left behind was like used cars and secondhand kind of things, and fly-by-night deals. And there used to be a place, I think it's still around here, called V Village. It was like one of the main places where you can get your Volkswagens worked on. It hung on in this area for quite a long time. But what was more interesting than that to me is before there were cars, this was a carriage house district. In other words, people would come downtown, but since major mode of transportation for a lot of travelers was by horse and carriages, they had to find a place while they did their business or stayed in hotels or whatever downtown. They had to find places to house the horses and the carriages and everything. And so there were a lot of livery stables, not just in this area, but all around downtown. But I think this area was one of the main areas where you had a lot of livery stables. South of the, the Kaufman Performing Arts Center is a big open field, but at one time it was the post office old livery stable, and it had evolved into a truck maintenance shop, and probably about 10 years ago they tore it down, the owner of it. But I remember on the when you tear an old building down, sometimes you expose the layers of history that have gotten covered up or whatever. And you going, and I remember seeing it's a U.S. Post Office livery stable carriage house, something like that. So it's kind of like adaptive reuse, when people stopped using horses, started using cars, and naturally all the old carriage houses turned into mechanic shops and garages and car dealers. And even when the area was kind of considered backwater abandoned, there were a lot of places that did warehousing and parts for cars and automobile type things. But anyway, that's just so much boorishness under the bridge. Take the doggies to the doggy park. Doggy park. Please don't step out in front of me. I haven't seen anybody like doing the Pokemon thing. Maybe it's too early in the day. Maybe a lot of people are just responsible and they only do it in their recreation hours. I think I must have said the DP loud enough that somebody heard me, or I think they're getting kind of excited behind me. Are you getting excited, doggies? Dogs! What's wrong, Mr. Jim? What's wrong, Jimmy? I can go. You shall go. You shall pass. There's a doggy. Doggy! 2 doggies. Dogs. Doggies? I think I see a few. I think there's some dogs. Hee hee. You have any twin over there? Is that your evil twin? Jimmy, how you doing, huh?